Let's get into some shade. All right. Hi, folks. How are you? Welcome to Apocalyptic. I am Rick. I'm the guy who puts this show together, and often, not often, every time I'm on it. I'm on it every time. It's my show. And, you know, it's just as much your show because you're always here, right? You are always here, pretty sure. But anyway, this is Apocalyptic. And how are you? How are you feeling? I am not trying to cover anything up. I realize that the Thursday show was late. In fact, the Thursday show is so late. It's actually a Friday show now. Today is Friday. Sorry, just some things happened. I apologize. I could have just not done a show, but no, I wouldn't do that to you. I had to do, I don't know. Last night, I just been so out of sync with life. I don't know why. Just every day, I can't explain it. You know, you sometimes feel that your rhythms aren't operating at the same sync that life is operating. You just kind of feel like you're at a distance, you know, you're not engaged with reality. And I don't mean that like you're going crazy. I just mean sometimes things you just don't feel like you're participating or something. But I've been feeling like that for a little while. And so last night was sort of that way, and I didn't do a show. I had some things that happened yesterday morning. I usually do a morning show. This is Friday, and it's morning. I'm doing a morning show. But yesterday morning, I had some things to do. I couldn't do a show, so I thought, well, I'll just do it at night. And then at night, I was not syncing up correctly. So I made the decision, you know what, I could either do a half-assed show, which it could be argued I do that anyway, but I try not to. So I could have done that, or I just thought, well, I'll just sleep and I'll get up tomorrow. I'll do a much better show. So that's the choice I made, and I made that choice for you. And I hope you appreciate it. Spring is kicking in here down in Atlanta. Man, the buds are on the trees. It's exactly like spring. We're at the end of February. I know I saw pictures of Minnesota. It's covered in like tons and tons of snow, but we're already got spring down here. It's hot. I had to turn the air conditioner on already. I don't know. Is that a good thing? Could be. Some people would trade places. I'd like to have a little bit of season, just a little bit. Anyway, that's where we are. You just do what you're gonna do. I don't know. I associate heat with Atlanta, so it's not surprising, right? Obviously, we're down here where I think the spring season's going to kick in early. Just like fall kicks in early up in New England, I think, right? It does, doesn't it? Of course it does. Well, yesterday morning I was in bed. I was laying down. I had one of my ears, right, left, don't remember which, on a pillow. And I was in that half dream state. You know what I'm talking about? You're really awake, but you're sort of sleeping at the same time. And I heard a tone. It was weird. And it wasn't like a beep, like a long tone or something. It was like electronic, kind of like little chirps and buzzes and just weird things, kind of like R2-D2. And I heard it coming through my pillow. And so I knew, well, first of all, I thought, what is that? Is the bed on something? Is something in the bed? You know, I've lost little devices before in a room, and you have to hear it beeping for several weeks or months before you finally find that device and turn it off. So I thought, could it be that? Well, I don't know what it was. But then I just thought, was that a real thing? I don't know. And then I just forgot about it, kind of went back to bed, to sleep, whatever. And then a few minutes later, it did it again. The same exact tone. And at that point, I kind of quickly lifted my head up. I couldn't hear the tone anymore, but I could kind of tell that it was coming from the direction of over my wife's side of the bed. Something, I think it was one of her devices. So I don't know. She has a watch, one of those Fitbit watches and phones and all of the stuff. So I never figured out what the tone was, but it magnified in the bed. It was so, you could hear it. You couldn't hear it when you put your ear off of the bed, but on the bed, it just vibrated all through the bed. The bed became like this amplifier for this weird space tone. And that's how I woke up yesterday. And then feeling like I'm out of sync. It was almost just like I wasn't programmed right. Somebody didn't finish the program for myself. But I started thinking yesterday, I don't know why, but that, I guess, started leading me into this thought about what it's like in space. None of us have been to space, I'm assuming. I'm assuming you haven't. A few people have. I think more and more people might get to go in the future, but maybe it won't be us. But I don't know if you ever just spend, I know we do as kids, just spend time just imagining what it's like in places. And I started just really getting into space and imagining, what if I, obviously this couldn't happen, but what if I was like floating around, somewhere close to Saturn? I had the ability to do that. And not in any kind of capsule or anything. Obviously you can't, but if you had that ability just to kind of like float in space, what would it be like when you're just looking all around you? There's nothing. I'm assuming you still see the stars. Those are light, so sources of light. Maybe other times there's less. I don't know. I think I've heard that the more you're closer to a light source, just like on Earth, the less you could see the stars. But what life source? So I guess the sun would be it. But let's just say you're floating around and it's this thick blackness. You're just not touching anything. You can look down, there's stars. You look up, there's stars. There's stars all the way around you. And I'm wondering what you would hear. What would be the sound? I guess it's just, the silence is just so deep, so thick. But you gotta, would there be wind? Is there like space wind? Is there what kind of space noise? I've heard devices that they have out and they play them and you could hear weird little noises and stuff. But I don't know if you can hear, probably not around Saturn, but I don't know if you could hear satellite noises, just little beeps and chirps and stuff. I don't know. What would it sound like? Would it be just like I'm assuming it's just like the most peaceful thing. And where does that stop? I mean, we won't get into this, but I mean, there's no wall of that you end. It's not like, here we are at the end of space. It just keeps going. I don't know if they're like in space, if there are noisier places than others. I guess if something explodes, you can hear it. I guess can you hear it if like an asteroid just shoots by? Does it create wind? Is there any kind of noise that follows that? See, I don't know. I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm not an astronaut. I don't know. I'm not a space guy. I probably should join the Space Force so I could learn this stuff, but I don't know any of it. But just the silence. And you think about how the universe is more silent than it is noisy. I think about that. Maybe you don't. So I was looking at an image today of a satellite going over the Earth, and you just think about all of the millions and billions and billions, thank you, Carl Sagan, of planets and stars. And they all mostly, have this natural light, this natural illumination, the natural noise. Maybe some solar system, there is a planet like Earth, I don't know, but you just have these just normal sources of light, and then there's Earth, and this satellite is going around Earth, and you could see all of these spots of land that are lit up because of our lighting, our artificial lighting, our buildings. It's just glowing. It looks like this glowing orb. It's just like something from Vegas floating into space. We have to be I don't know. Maybe they're aliens that sit there and go, one day I got to go there. Look at that. That's awesome. Looks like a diamond ring floating into space. Or are we embarrassing? It's like, is everybody else embarrassed of us? Like we're like this gaudy ball floating in space. Everybody's like, yeah, Earth. Like Elvis's suit. They probably know about Elvis. Anyway, I found that fascinating. Just like, even if you're in an alien ship and you're going just traveling around, you have to see that. And you're like, oh, wow, we have to go. This year we're going to go see the lights of Earth. That's right. We're doing that on vacation. We thought we would do a few orbits and just see the lights. You have to, know about it. It's got to be something people out in space know. But I'm just amazed at the amount of silence, the amount of nothing, the amount of nothingness that's out there. We have so much activity that's going on here on Earth, things that are very important to us. We got to get in traffic. We got to go. We got to move fast. We got to get where we're going quickly. We got a dinner date. We got to get to work. All of the stuff that's going on, fast moving, things being made, things being processed, things being sold, things being bought, eaten, traded, worn. It never stops. There's always activity going on here in the great glowing planet of Earth. Everywhere else, it's just quiet. Just like that. See, it's weird. Anytime there's quiet here on Earth, something's not right. It doesn't seem right. But quiet is pretty much the standard existence of the entire universe. Silence is the universe. And it's amazing that we don't hear that most of the time. Just like, I guess most of the universe is blackness, and we don't see that because we're always seeing this Vegas lights in our eyes. So it's rare that we even get a few minutes of thinking about the state of everything. I mean, this vast, vast, vast universe. You can't even say how vast it is. You can't. There's no way to explain it. And it's all blackness and silence, almost all emptiness. And they say that every atom is that way. Just like you have the electrons, but it's mostly like 99 point something % space. It's just like our space out there. You get a planet every once in a while, you get a star every once in a while, but mostly space, mostly quietness, mostly nothingness, which we can't comprehend that. We don't pay attention to that. That means nothing to us. But I was thinking about that today, about, I've talked about it. I'm a spiritual person. I'm into spirituality. I went through a period of 10 years where I was an atheist, didn't do anything spiritual, wasn't interested, didn't care. And during that time, I developed this aversion to using the word God. I can't even use the word. I think I understand what most people mean when they say it. And when I say most people, I mean even people who don't believe in like the Christian God. A lot of times it means some deity, some being that's ruling the universe somewhere on a cloud in a section in heaven, and somewhere there's this being that's separate from everybody else, and it's sitting there pulling levers. It's like a big chess game or something. So that's what some people mean by God. I can't get into that. I have a problem with that. Pardon. I do have a problem with that, and I can't get into it. So a lot of people, that's what they hear, and they resist spirituality. I did that for a long time. I still do. When people start talking about that, people are like, do you believe in God? Oh man, I start buzzing away. I can't connect. But I'm quick to say that I do. I'm a spiritual person. I do believe in spirituality. But what does that mean? And so when I trace back what is really meant by God, the word God, what's the real word? And I got to say, I totally have no problem saying that God is that silence. It's that space silence. And I use that loosely because it's not a physical thing. When you talk about spirituality, and a lot of people will just, I'm not into that anymore. I'm not going to talk about that. But true spirituality is just the study or the experience of the invisible, right? Which that freaks some people out. It's invisible. I don't want to go there. But you think about it for a second. Every single thing that we deal with in this world daily on a regular basis starts in the invisible. Everything is an effect from an invisible cause. You may not want to admit it, but just think it. Trace everything back and you will find out that it's true. Everything starts as an invisible idea. Even human beings start as an idea, as love, as a feeling, whatever. And then that translates into something physical. And even in the physical, it kind of starts as silence. The creation sort of starts as silence. But all of the things we experience started out in silence. They started out just as some kind of a, idea. Someone decided to make Air Jordans just from a thought. It was invisible. The relationships that we have every day, whether it's family relationships or personal relationships at work or just stranger at the bus stop, most of what we experience of people is all happening inside of us. We're either judging them, we're putting qualifications onto them, we're prejudiced, we're thinking things we would never want other people to hear. We're thinking that person is cute. We're thinking that person is sad. We're thinking I don't want to get close to that person. And how we act and react to the physical people is really kind of based on what's happening in the invisible, right? So to me, when I talk about spirituality, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the experience of the invisible. What's going on? Because see, now we're finding out, like, a lot of the quantum sciences are basically the study of the invisible, and it's very fascinating. I can't understand it all, barely understand any of it, but it's where we're moving to, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that the truth of reality basically is invisible. It's all invisible. So from that standpoint, I have to say I don't have a huge problem with God or spirituality. I do have a problem and a disagreement with the way most people categorize God, but I could say to my own self, okay, I believe that. I believe that silence inside of myself is God, and from that stems the ideas that create my entire life, my business. I mean, really, it does. It kind of goes back to the episode we had about creativity. All creativity starts in the invisible, in the silence. When I'm creating a painting, when I'm creating any kind of thing that I need some kind of true creativity, I just get quiet. I just go to this place inside of myself, like I think I mentioned, as I call it the well. It's just like ideas are drawn from that. So the actual final product that people see started invisibly. It started, and that's spirituality to me. How we act and interact with our fellow human beings. If you're a hateful person, if you're a person that hates human beings or hates certain races or hates certain sexualities or whatever, if you have any kind of hate in your life that's brewing inside of you in that silent area inside of you, it is going to come out and formulate your life. It's going to create your experience. So to me, that's what I'm comfortable with saying, that as a spiritual person, I like studying and experiencing the invisible. And don't we all? I mean, even if you don't think you're a spiritual person, when you think about it that way, you go, oh, well, yeah, I guess, okay. I guess I am. I mean, we drive from our house to work in our car. And during that time, most of us don't say a word, but 50 gazillion things happen. During that short amount of time, just happen in our head. Thoughts, usually. Sometimes, something pops up. Boop, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Those are kind of special. But all of it is happening in the... You could turn the radio on and sing a song, but all of this stuff is happening inside of us in the invisible. We live so much of our life invisible, and we don't even realize it. We don't even think about it. And all of that invisible life is responsible for a lot of what we see, a lot of how we react, a lot of what we feel. It's responsible. If you feel a certain way about people, you will treat them that way. They're going to treat you a certain way. So your experience of other people is based on how you have treated them. And you may not even think about it that way. You just think, why is everybody acting like I'm some kind of a jerk? Maybe you treat people like you are a jerk. Maybe that you don't know it, but maybe you do. And that's coming back to you. It started in the invisible. So, all I'm saying is be aware of it. That's all I'm saying. Just like floating around in space, being aware of the silence, being aware of, because within that silence of the space is how things get created, how things move, how things be. Things are being as they are in the silence here on Earth. Be aware of it. I think it's a good thing. I feel like we're all spiritual creatures. It's not something to be ashamed of. I think there are a lot of people who have messed up the word spirit and spiritual. They kind of took it, they corrupted it, they made it into something that it's not. They made it into like this weird fairy tale thing where there's bizarre God characters and they're supposed to do crazy things if you don't obey them and all. That's ridiculous. Who wants to believe that? And there's a lot of people who do. Okay. But I think most of us are true spiritual people in that we pay attention to what's going on inside of us. We want to know why we're angry and we don't know why. We want to know why we love something and we don't know why. Why are we attracted or drawn to certain things like we've talked about before? There in the silence. Getting in there. It's like tinkering under the hood of the car. Just get in there and look, find out. Spend some time in the silence. It's actually pretty incredible. And the more you do it, the more you realize it's the source of all of the really, really great things in the physical realm. So that's all I'm going to say. Helps me get back into sync, I guess. I don't know. It's not a bad thing. I'm not going around saying that I feel like life sucks. I don't. Sometimes I just feel like I can't get in the right cog, like two weak cogs in the little teeth and they're going together and move. I keep slipping out of it. But that's happened several times in my life. I click back in. I'll get back into it. Sometimes you can spend so much time in the silence that it just takes a lot of adapting to get back into the noise. It's not fun. You just feel like you shouldn't be there. Anyway, hope you find your way. Hope you find what makes you work. I'm just here to try to help. I'm just throwing out some ideas. None of this stuff may be applicable to your life or your interest. If so, that's totally fine. If you have any questions, you can call the listener line at 678-348-0008, and you can ask me or just tell me your experience or opinions. It's one of the few places on the show that I don't mind opinions. You just tell me, we can talk about it. Just call the line, text the line too, write me an email, rick@apocalyptic.com. For some reason, I'm being attacked by lots and lots and lots of spammers out there. They're trying to get into my websites. I don't know. I think if they knew what was in there, they wouldn't be putting so much time and energy into it because there's nothing exciting at all. But for some reason, they're turning up the heat and they're everywhere. Last night, I got attacked on my website. I had like, I don't know, 100 people try to subscribe to my website, and they were all spam people. So they want me for some reason. They're trying to get me. Nothing they can have, but you can get me anytime you want me, my friends. Just reach out. I'm also on Facebook and the Twitter. I'm not on the Twitter. The Instagram. I'm sorry. I used to be on the Twitter. Not anymore. Instagram and YouTube. And that's it. That's where I am. That's where I hide out. Well, what do you think? Are you glad I did a Friday show? Should I not have? I think it was a decent one. I think it was pretty good. All right. I'm going to let you go until Monday. And then what do we do on Monday? Just a regular show. I'm lost. I'm out of sync. Spend some time just being quiet. You don't have to do anything but be quiet. All right. I'm going to be quiet now.